and a very warm welcome to Landmark Case Analysis, which is presented to you by Lawsico. This is Ankita Parida here. Now let's begin with our landmark case Swiss Ribbon Private Limited versus Union of India. We have discussed about the issue of law and the brief facts of this case in the first part of this video. In this video, we'll discuss about the judgment and reasoning given by the court. Now let's have a look at the reasoning and the decision given by the court. Regarding Section 29A of the Code, there were several contention by the appellant stating that the vested rights of promoters to participate in the recovery process of the corporate debtor was impaired by retrospective application of Section 29A. Further, the erstwhile promoters who are efficient to formulate the most comprehensive resolution plan are kept out of this resolution process. And lastly, the relatives of the promoter who have no link with the business are barred from participating in the resolution process. Therefore, it was contended that this section must be struck down as it is violative of Article 14. Regarding this, the Supreme Court observed that there is no settled law that this statute is applicable retrospectively, and thus it held that Section 29A of the Code is not retrospectively applicable. Regarding the participation of the promoters, the Supreme Court held that there exists no vested rights with the promoters to participate in this process of resolution. Therefore, this question should not be brought up, and therefore it does not violate anybody's right. With respect to participation of the relatives, the court pointed out that if it is not shown that such related person is connected with the business of the corporate debtor, then he cannot be excluded under Section 29A subsection J, and therefore the Supreme Court held Section 29A constitutionally valid and is applicable in its entirety. Now coming to the second issue, the legislative scheme that is contained under Section 7 of the Code was challenged for the fact that there is no intelligible differentia between the financial and operational creditors in the Code. Also, it was contended that only the financial creditors have a place in the Committee of Creditors, and hence this legislative design amounted to discrimination under Article 14 of the Constitution of India. Regarding this, the court observed that there is an existing intelligible differentia between the two creditors which directly relates to the object sought to be attained by this code, that is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Firstly, financial creditors are secured creditors and operational creditors are unsecured creditor, as payment for goods to the operational creditor is not secured by mortgage documents. Secondly, the quantum of money due to the operational creditor is substantially less than the money owed to the financial creditors. Thirdly, repayment of debt to the financial creditor is organized under various schedules, and default in payment extracts penalty, and a similar scenario does not exist with the operational creditor. Also, the money that is recovered from the corporate debtor is again flushed to the economy, and it is again utilized in other economic purposes. Therefore, the court analyzed the role played by the two set of creditors, and on its basis, the court said that the absence of operational creditor in committee of creditor has a valid basis and is not violative of Article 14 of the Constitution. And the validity and feasibility of the business of corporate debtor is extensively assessed by the financial creditor while providing its debt, and they are in better position to evaluate the resolution plan as compared to the operational creditor, and therefore they have a presence in the committee of creditors. Coming to the third issue, legality of settlement under Section 12A of the Code. The constitutionality of Section 12A of the Code was challenged in the present case, stating that the threshold of 90% of the Committee of Creditor for allowing the withdrawal of application is unreasonable. However, the Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of Section 12A of this code, and it said that the high threshold, that is 90% of the members of the Committee of Creditors, is very important in this because it ensures that the liabilities of the creditors are addressed by keeping this high threshold. So, therefore, it upheld the constitutional validity of Section 12A of this code. So, this was all about this case. Thank you.